So, first of all, Detysha, Erica, thanks for joining the Women's Rugby Show weekly podcast this week. Just start off with obviously a big game for Sharks this weekend. Just kind of how important is that occasion? Also, Superpower weekend last weekend in the PWR. So how important are they kind of for the growth of women's rugby?
You want to go first?
Sure. Yeah, I think it's just undeniable if you look at accessibility and visibility of the game. It's one of the most important milestones, I think, in the trajectory that we've seen in terms of hitting like record-breaking crowds and getting funding back into the sport. There's this kind of chicken or egg thing with, well, people want to watch it, but are we getting it out in front of them, and are we giving the product for people to consume to prove they want to watch it and get that investment spiral going? So I think it's a huge step forward.
For sure. And I think it's important to us because we obviously train here, share the same facilities as the boys, and we go and watch them obviously on our days off and stuff. So to have the opportunity to be there and for potentially them to watch us, I think it's really special.
You mentioned special. Just how special is Saturday going to be for you as a local girl playing in Salford? Just how special is that going to be?
I'm not sure I'll be able to believe it. You know what I mean? So like I'll just walk out there and I'll probably forget where I am until after it. And I think that's like a dream, kind of.
Yeah, obviously you came back to Sharks this season. Do you think, is that kind of part of came back to the Northwest to Sharks this season? Is this kind of opportunity to play at home, be back to where you're from, is that kind of one of the main reasons for making that move back?
I remember when I said I was moving here, and a lot of the people that wanted to move here was like, oh, will you be playing at the Salford Community Stadium? And I was like, well, hopefully one day. And for it to be like so soon this season, I think that's important, and that is one of the reasons I came back, but not just for like the big fancy stages, but for like all the grit that everyone has and that togetherness that's here in the team culture.
Obviously, Erica, you were also fresh to Sharks this season, officially joining in January, but here for longer. Just kind of, first of all, how did that move kind of come about to the Northwest?
Yeah, I think I wanted to come into the Prem for ages. It's obviously the best women's league in the world at this point, and there's some pressure for international team like status to get your training in on this side of the pond for Americans, and so yeah, I had my eye on it for years. The fact that it ended up being Sale, it was just kind of, I looked at the table last year and I wanted to be, in a competitive team. They were middle of the table. I wanted to balance, playing opportunity with, winning opportunity, and just coming into like a competitive squad. And I met the girls a bunch of times. The unspoken part of this is I started dating one of the players, and then I could give a better answer.
2 Sharks meeting.
Just you kind of touched on the PWR there as kind of being one of the biggest leagues. Just how important is that for both of you really to kind of be playing in such a competitive league to kind of further your aspirations in rugby?
When people think about Sale Sharks, and yeah, we're at the bottom of the table right now and stuff, but coming from a team like Waterloo, it doesn't matter to me where we sit in the table. As long as each game's competitive, I'd rather be in a team that doesn't have 15 world-class players and then go out and play against those players, because I think that's where you get better. Obviously you get better playing with them, but playing against them I think is a bigger challenge, and that's what makes me develop and evolve more as a player. So I love being at Shark.
Yeah, I think this league, it's really driving women's rugby, like the global game. It's well known back in the States that like this is kind of where to be right now because of the resources. I think coming here, it's just the experience. For this to be the club level, I think I've had comparable experiences in terms of like game management and pitch quality and the staff that we have here and the lifting facility that we have here. It's comparable to what we get on international tour. It's not what you're seeing at the club level in America. I can't speak for other countries, but I know that the resources here and the development of the women's game in this country is just skyrocketing what we're able to do as athletes, because it's taking away so many of the barriers around, being supported and having resources in order to reach your peak performance. So it's doing huge things for the global game.
obviously you kind of touched on the table then, and not to kind of dwell on results too much, being so many kind of tough injuries in your back row, especially in the pack. Obviously Rachel McLaughlin been out for so long, Sarah Tanasi, Lizzie Duffy's been out for the whole season at Wenner. Just how tough is it to kind of keep going and keep managing when you are struggling for injuries, because there isn't that depth there that other clubs in the league have?
I think it is tough if you're looking at and you focus on like those particular players and where we are right now. But if you zoom out in the bigger picture, that's all right, because if we can get better as a team without them, then when they come back, imagine like how good we're going to be. And that's what I always focus on. And we have got a lot of new players in, a lot of inexperienced players, younger players that have come in this season, and that's why it's exciting, because yeah, we're where we are right now, but imagine where we'll be in like 5, 6, 7 years. And all the teams that are at the top, they used to be at the bottom for years, and I'm not worried.
Yeah, is that the same kind of?
She's great.
Yeah, you mentioned those younger players, and obviously you got people like Polly Bowman on the bench, started last week. Just how important is it for people like her to be playing with these world-class players week in, week out for her development as well?
I'll start and then you can start, because you play the same position. So people like Polly, when she first came, she was like so fresh, kind of like a rookie, but it's nice to have people like that because they don't really have bad habits. They're brand new and they take on what people say to them, and she is nice to train with, nice to have behind her and stuff, because if you tell her something then she'll do it, and I think it's nice for her to play with people like you.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's, as a young player, there's no substitute for minutes on the pitch, whether that's training minutes or playing minutes. I think it's a huge opportunity for somebody who's just almost entirely pure potential. Like, you have no idea how far she could go in this game, and to see her kind of grow, and not just her, but some other really talented younger players coming through the squad, again, with having to fill some pretty big shoes with injury. In a way, it's been a huge opportunity, I think, for some development of the grassroots game up north to kind of funnel them into the Prem League.
And obviously it's
She's fast.
obviously it's the last round of the PWR for a while. I think it's till May near enough. After this, but it's been such a big block of 8 or 9 fixtures in a row. Just how tough is that to kind of manage on the body and kind of mentally, physically get through week on week?
I think I'll have a different answer, because I'm used to playing 2 games a week, coming from like uni and stuff like that. So I used to play on a Wednesday, a Saturday, and when the development league was around, sometimes you'd play 3 games a week, which if you say that now, it's a bit like ah. But for me, I enjoyed it because it's like you build that consistency, you build like cohesion within the team, and it's exciting because, for example, Gloucester, we played them twice, like a week after. So it was nice to go out and then fix some things that we didn't do the week before. But yeah, I'm alright, but I don't think the rest of the team are. Mentally, I think it's more mental exertion than it is physical exertion. Obviously it is tough, and when people like Georgie and you make 20 plus tackles a game, they're probably going to say a different answer, but
Yeah, I think it depends on how thin you're spread outside of your rugby demands. A lot of people here have full-time jobs, not everyone, and so it makes it easier. If rugby is your main focus, obviously, then you can spend your Monday morning doing recovery. But if you're picking up shifts to, move around from the weekend game and then working all week, I'm sure that has a huge part in recovery and being able to sustain the demands of high-performance rugby while also juggling pretty much a full-time career and just doing both. I think that's probably the hardest part from what I understand in the team dynamics. But I kind of just focus on rugby, luckily. So,
just to kind of touch on the USA for a little bit. Obviously, there are so many, not just in Sale, but throughout the PWR. Just how important is that to kind of have these internationals? You've already touched on it a little bit already, but to have these international playing week in, week out, kind of head into Pact 4 and head into the WXV in the summer as well.
Yeah, there's just no comparison. I mean, this time last year, I was doing my speed workout in my parents' driveway. I didn't even really have any local. I had 2 or 3 local USA teammates, and we would get together once a week and wrestle each other and try to stay combat fit. But there's just nothing like an 18-game circuit, pretty much constantly from the end of one international tour to the start of the next. So it's really been huge for our team to develop. I think the same can be said for probably some of the Scottish girls and the Welsh team as well. Canada have a bunch over here. ideally, eventually, we all have our own homegrown leagues that we can start to feed back into our own countries and get some of, I mean, just look at how well England perform. It's like ridiculous. So hopefully those resources can start getting redirected back to our own countries eventually. But for right now, it's just incredible to have this opportunity, and I'm so glad that somebody somewhere is investing in women's sport because we can come use it.
And there can't be many games this season where you haven't played against an American teammate, I don't think.
You know, I think like Gloucester might be the only team without one. Yeah.
Is that kind of nice to kind of a bit of formality, not formality, but I can't remember think of the word, the regularity, knowing, I'm going to be playing against my mates on Saturday. Is it kind of nice to go up against them? Yeah,
my favourite part of it is scouting them all week, and then we can come back into camp and be like, you have a hitch in your jump, it's really obvious, and maybe we can fix it for when we're on the same team again, but I won't tell them before.
And just last one from me, just how excited are you both for Saturday?
I'm buzzing, mate.
Yeah, I'm pumped.
I'm pumped, man.
You get the most northern answer to that. So both, thank you so much for joining us today, and best of luck for the weekend.
Thank you.
Georgie, thanks so much for joining us today. Just to kind of look back on the season so far a little bit, won't dwell on it too much. Obviously, been quite a tough time, lots of injuries, especially in that forward pack. Just how tough has it been as a captain to kind of bring the girls through, like mentally, to prepare for games when you know there are quite a lot of injuries there?
Yeah, not going to lie, it has been super tough, and it's something that we've had to really work on, our resilience, turning around each week, and especially, you know, with a couple of postponed, cancelled fixtures, we've had to go 8 weeks on the bounce as well, which without being where we are, it's already tough. So I think we're really lucky that we've got a really tight-knit group and a group of good girls that are really committed to the cause. So it has been tough, but I think I'm still super proud to lead this group each week.
And obviously last weekend in the PWR was a super power weekend, as they called it. This weekend's your big game at the Salford Community Stadium. Just how important are these occasions for the kind of growth of women's rugby?
Massive. I think it's so important. As I've said before, you know, I've been here 4 years now, and this is the first time that we get to play at Salford Community Stadium, and for anyone that's seen it, you know, it's magic, and it's our lads play there regularly, so it's been a goal of ours and a little dream for, I think, quite a few of us here. So super excited, and we know we've got quite a few supporters and fans coming along, so hopefully it'll be a really good day.
Could you have imagined this kind of day came around so quickly when you first started Sale? I think October 2020 was your first game for Sale. Just could you ever imagine that back then?
God, that feels a long time ago. No, I don't think so. I think it always was something in the back of my mind that was like, would be amazing if we could do that one day, and I know there's been conversations about it every year, so for it to be finally here this weekend, I think almost doesn't feel real actually, but yeah, so excited, and I hope for the girls that they can all enjoy it and make the most of the day, really.
And you mentioned having all those supporters behind you. Obviously Northern Rugby Matters is a big thing here at Sale. Just how important of a day is it for kind of girls rugby in the North West, not just for Sale Sharks women?
Huge, there is no doubt about that. I think I've been lucky enough over the last few weeks to go out and coach some of the younger girls in local clubs and schools, and I think to see their excitement after sessions, and luckily a few of them are managing to get down on Saturday. I know we're getting a few bus loads in, so I think for them to see what they can be one day and what they can do, and to know that the game will be in an even better place when they come through, I think it's super exciting for us, but also for them. I think, you know, follow their dreams, and God knows what they could achieve, so it's exciting.
And obviously Trailfinders, the visitors, just really tight when you play them down at their place just before Christmas or just after Christmas?
Yeah, just before.
Yeah,
just before.
Yeah, just obviously really tight game. Just kind of where can you see yourself changing that result, and where do you think is going to be the difference on Saturday?
I think last time we felt like we should have come off with a win there. Obviously it was super tight. We played some really good rugby and a couple of errors, and we lost the game, so I think we do feel like we have some wrongs to make right. So I think for us it's reflecting on that last performance and coming away with what we should have done the first time. So I know that there's a lot of fueled girls ready to go and a point to prove, so hopefully that's our main goal for us, is put out a performance that we're proud of.
And obviously coming off the back of last week, strong performance against quite a good Loughborough side who've been challenging that top four, three of the team, including yourself in the Opta Stats team, the official name of it. Just is those kind of achievements a nice thing for yourself, but also the other girls who are in it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I said post-match interview against Loughborough, I think some of the girls and the whole squad in general should be super proud. There were some outstanding performances from the girls on our team, and I think it's really important that we don't underestimate these young girls that, you know, maybe wouldn't have had the same amount of opportunity if other players were available, but they've stood up and they've played really well and they've earned their shirt. So I think for us it's super exciting because it just shows when we have injuries back the depth that we have, and fair play to a lot of the girls because they've taken their opportunity and shown what they can do.
So you mentioned those younger players, and obviously Polly's a big one who's kind of made that step up. First, I think it was the first PWR start last week.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. Just how impressed have you been with her to kind of make that step up into Prem Rugby?
Yeah, amazing. I think when Polly first came here, she was super quiet, and she's grown already into this, you know, great player that's already increasing in confidence. And I think this is just the start for her. I mean, she's young, talented, and just starting to get stuck in. So yeah, super exciting for her, and she'll be a great player.
And obviously this weekend is the last of this big block of Prem fixes. Just
Thank God.
what are those next kind of few weeks going to look like for yourself and for Sharks?
I think for Sharks, as I've said before, I mean, 8 weeks in this league, it is no mercy. It's tough, and the bodies, I know there's a lot of tired girls ready for a slow week. So hopefully rest and recovery, but without a doubt, some review and look into what we can build into the next block. I know a lot of us will hopefully be away with international duty too, so and a good cup run for the girls, hopefully build that strength and depth in that area too. So yeah, no rest really, but powering on.
Tysh was saying just before that she's kind of used to this kind of big fixture block and she's not even that tired.
Yeah.
Which is quite impressive.
I need her body then.
She did say there'd be a fair few of you were thinking, yeah, I might need a rest, but she said she was fine with it. Just kind of last one from me, obviously just how excited are you for Saturday, kind of what emotions do you think you're going to be feeling on Saturday?
I think overwhelming for me is pride. I think, you know, a lot of people look at us and think, you know, Sale, obviously we're at the bottom of the table, we can't hide from that, and we have had some really tough results, but that will never take away from how proud I am of this group, of the individuals, of this club, and pulling on that shirt every week. You know, it'll feel nice this week because we're at the stadium, but I feel that every week, and I think for us, I'm more excited for the girls that they get to experience this and finally get to play on the big show, and I believe that they deserve that and they have for a long time, so yeah, excited for them.
Perfect, Georgie, thanks so much for joining us and best of luck for Saturday.
Thank you.